Hi, here are the notes to accompany Chapter 8, Partnering with Families. So, like several things in this Introduction to Child Development course, we touch on some subjects and then you'll elaborate on them more in future classes. So, you'll eventually take Socialization and Support, which deals a lot with collaborating with and involving families in your facility. But we will start with it here. So, it's important to remember that families are the child's first teacher. We're their teacher, but they were their first teacher. They, in many ways, were their primary teacher because they are at home with them and they hopefully are spending a lot of time with them. We have an ethical responsibility to these families in several ways. One way that's listed here is that they've got rights regarding their children's education. And so it's our ethical responsibility to be respectful and responsive to those rights. We also have an ethical responsibility, since they are the child's first teacher, to help them be good teachers. And we're the experts to some extent. They're the experts on their child. We're the experts on how to educate young children. So it's we have an ethical responsibility to help them do that, to educate families on the best way to care for and educate their children. And our goal there, of course, is collaborative partnerships with teachers and families so that learning and growing and developing is always happening, whether it's at school or at home. So a popular framework for understanding different approaches to parenting is Baumrinn's parenting styles. There are four main styles: authoritative, authoritarian, permissive, and neglectful. And each style has its own characteristics and can influence a child's behavior and development based on these interactions that adults in their lives have with them. So authoritative is a style that's characterized by parents who are both nurturing and firm. They set clear expectations and boundaries while also being responsive to their child's needs. They encourage independence, but they also provide guidance and support. This style promotes self-discipline, responsibility, and positive social skills. And research shows that it does usually lend to the most productive citizens and adults. Authoritarian, in contrast to authoritative, authoritarian parents tend to be strict and demanding, and they prioritize obedience and discipline over nurturing and warmth. They have very high expectations and enforce rules without very much room for negotiation. It can lead to children who are obedient, but they may struggle with low self-esteem and difficulty making decisions because they're obedient just because they've been told to be. That doesn't necessarily mean they know how to make the right choices. And then permissive is another parenting style, and these parents are more lenient and indulgent. They don't have very many rules or boundaries, and they allow their child to have a lot of freedom. They might avoid discipline and prioritize their child's happiness over setting any limits. And while it can foster a close relationship, it can also result in children who struggle with self-control and have difficulty following rules. It's also been my experience that, especially as they get older, children who have parents who didn't have have expectations of them, a lot of times wish they did. They feel like they end up feeling like their parents didn't care enough to teach them and have guidelines for them and have rules for them. And of course, neglectful is our final one. And those parents are uninvolved and indifferent towards their children's needs. And that would, of course, lend to what I just said, even more than permissive would. They may be emotionally distant and fail to provide necessary care and attention. And it can have serious negative impacts on a child's well-being, leading to issues with attachment, emotional development, and of course, self-esteem. It is important to remember that these styles are not set in stone, and parents may exhibit a combination of different styles depending on the situation. Or they might, have decided very carefully that they're going to adopt one of these and be very careful and intentional in staying within that style. All right, the Galinsky stages of parenting are another interesting framework that explores the evolving dynamics between parents and children as they grow up. The stages provide a framework for us, helping us understand the different phases of parenting and the evolving relationship between parents and children. And according to Galinsky, there are 6 stages. In the image making stage, it occurs during pregnancy when parents begin to form mental images of what their child will be like. The nurturing stage is when parents focus on meeting their child's basic needs and providing a nurturing and supportive environment. So beginning at infancy. The authority stage happens as children grow older and parents establish rules and boundaries to guide their behavior and teach them about responsibility. In the interpretive stage, parents encourage their child's individuality and help them develop their own thoughts, opinions, and values. In the interdependent stage, parents and children work together as a team, sharing responsibilities and decision making. In the departure stage, children become adults and leave home, and parents adjust to their new roles and support their child's independence. So there's a chart on page 182 of these family-friendly strategies. There are headings of setting the tone, ongoing communication, including families in the program, and homeschool connections. And this chart is the focus of your discussion this week. So you'll want to take a good look at it and get some ideas or realize what you're already doing in each of these areas and write about those. Here are some possible family education strategies. They're also each elaborated on in your book. Qualities of communication with families are that we need to be confidential, honest, and professional. Confidentiality is about respecting and maintaining confidentiality because it builds trust between educators and families. When families share personal information or concerns, it's crucial that we keep that information private and only share it with appropriate individuals. This helps create a safe and secure environment where the families can feel comfortable sharing their thoughts and concerns. Appropriate individuals means individuals who would actually who actually work closely with that child and in a way that the information that was shared with you might matter. There are times and ways to tell others who might need to know that the child might be going through something without telling them all the details. You just have to be careful because parents don't want to think that they shared something with you and then they come to pick their kid up and every adult there knows their business. So we've got to be very careful. We want to be honest with families because that's essential for building strong relationships. It's important to provide accurate and transparent information about their child's progress, behavior, and any challenges they may be facing. And that can be hard to be honest when sometimes maybe the honesty is not positive. It can be really hard to say, Sally is not getting this skill. That can be hard to do sometimes, but it's not going to help Sally in the long run if we're not open and honest about it. That also builds trust and helps the families make informed decisions about what they might need to do for Sally. And of course, we want to be professional. Maintaining professionalism and communication shows that we respect the families, and it reinforces the importance of the educator's role, us being the educator and them being an educator for their children. Professionalism includes being punctual, using appropriate language and tone, and adhering to ethical guidelines. So it helps create a positive and respectful atmosphere when these families feel valued and supported. Family teacher conferences. You are planning one of those this week, and all of these tips are in your book. So I recommend that you read through those carefully as you plan and then hold your mock conferences. I did make a note of this. I sent an announcement out that I changed the book a little bit on this page. So if you're watching this in spring of 24, you might need to update or go look at the new version of the book. If you're watching this after then, yours should be good. As bonus this week, I'm going to ask that you message me in Canvas and let me know whether or not you have enrolled for spring and or fall yet. And if you haven't, Why not? What are we waiting on? Um, if you're a scholar, let me know that because possibly you're waiting for Alejandro to work with you. If you are not in the scholars program, let's see what we can do to get you enrolled. And so reaching out to me in Canvas will be your bonus this week.